Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about why your ex is scared to believe that you've changed.
It can be really hard for them to believe it.
And you're probably having doubts that they would even be worried about that. Why would they be afraid that I've changed if they don't want to be with me anymore? Right? Well, your ex has likely convinced themselves that the situation wasn't going to get any better. They had to walk away. It was the only alternative. That they don't think you're really going to do anything different. And sometimes they'll say things like, well, I want you to change for you. I don't want you to do these things for me. I want you to do it because you want to change, not to stay with me.
Yeah, and I think the bottom line is everybody is afraid of being duped in a relationship. Nobody wants to feel like the fool. And so the fear here is, am I going to get tricked into getting back into a relationship with somebody who appears like they've changed, but really hasn't changed at all and is at the core the same person, and those nasty habits are going to come back up and I'm going to have to deal with this hurt and pain for a second time around.
Yeah, especially when the breakup just happened 3 weeks ago, right? And so that's not even enough time for you to really see the patterns and see what happened. I know many of you are like, no, I know it.
Yeah.
But you're kidding yourself. It takes more time to really see these things and have those aha moments that we talk about.
Yeah, and I love what Margaret said about you don't know what your issues are until somebody tries to love you. And I just think it's so true because you think you're ready and you play out these scenarios in your mind and you're like, I got it. I'm going to handle it perfectly next time. But then when you're in it, all of those wounds come back up, that defensiveness comes back up. All of those, things that you use to protect yourself are still there, and you can see how the growth hasn't really been there in practice. That's where it's hardest, is when you are triggered.
Yeah, it's so true. And so it's going to take time to see these things. And it takes even more time to break those patterns.
Right. So initially, they are still in the reality that they're hurt from whatever happened in the breakup or the relationship. The person that they know you as is the person that they know you as. They're not going to see this different version of you. They're not going to see what the changes are or how those things would really affect a new relationship because they are still processing the pain of the breakup. It's really important at this point to not give a sales pitch on the new things that you've learned and make all these promises about what you can do for them, because it's going to come across as manipulative, it's going to come across as ingenuine, and they're going to have that fear of being tricked.
Yeah, they're going to see right through it, and they're going to be like, how could you have changed? We just broke up 2 weeks ago.
Yep. And it feels like, and Craig, you always make that analogy of the used car salesman.
Yeah.
Please, I promise it's a great deal.
What do I have to do to get you in this relationship today?
You do a great impression of that.
My dad's, I had a stepdad, two stepdads that sold used cars.
Really?
And cars, so. Not just used cars, they sold cars too. But yeah, so yeah. Maybe I picked up on the vibe.
Yeah, probably. So you have to be aware of that. For our ex, they're still processing whatever is going on, and that takes time. And they're probably going to be very skeptical and very suspicious, and rightfully so, of any kind of new thing that you've learned or the thing that's going to fix it. For your ex, in their mind, they've exhausted all these options of fixing it. They've lost hope. They're saying it's no point, it's useless, we've tried this. And these are some things that you might have actually heard from your ex's mouth. So be aware of that. Try to be aware of how you come across.
It's hard because you're very anxious and all you can think about is how you feel and what could make you feel better. But that isn't what's going to make them feel better. And they're just going to look at you like, And they're going to be even more suspicious when you're not showing that you understand where they're at and why they're there, and really having a lot of empathy and compassion about their perspective on it, because all you're focused on is getting what you want. That's what anxiety does to us. It makes us very selfish and self-absorbed. I think there's a biological component to it where it's like if we feel separated from the people that we loved, we feel like we're going to die. And so the last thing we want to do is die. We want to keep ourselves alive. So we feel like we have to keep ourselves close to our loved ones. So you're going to do whatever you can to get there. But the ironic thing is that we often have to do the opposite to truly show them the changes and that you really are making those changes for yourself and not to just get somebody back.
Yeah. And this is the irony of it, is that if you are trying so hard to get them to see how you've changed, then it really makes me question how much you've actually changed, because a lot of this is dealing with anxiety, dealing with uncertainty, and being okay with not knowing or not knowing their reaction. And so if you're able to give them that space to be able to process whatever they need to process, that's part of you taking accountability. That's part of you saying, okay, I realized that how I showed up in the relationship was not how I wanted to show up. And part of me taking accountability is recognizing this other person needs a moment.
Yeah, sure. And they do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're simply telling you to leave them alone and let them come back when they're ready, so it's not pressuring them.
Right. And if you've done a 180, let's say you are a completely different person to who you were in the relationship. Some time has passed after the breakup. You've learned relationship skills. You've learned how to emotionally regulate and all of these things. Your ex may still be hurting from the painful things of the relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, we're naturally as humans still going to have that reaction that we've been conditioned to have when we see the stimulus that caused that reaction. Meaning, if you've been somebody to make a lot of mistakes in a relationship or cause your ex to feel a certain way, when they see you, they're going to associate you with that immediately. So you can't expect them to immediately see all that change and be like, oh wow, this is a new person. This person certainly won't hurt me. It's going to take rebuilding trust.
Absolutely. And you have to understand that both of you are in different places in the situation. You're kind of feeling helpless and scared, and they're feeling kind of empowered, like they've made a big decision and that they're okay with it.
And I want to make another note that we can ask for forgiveness from our ex if we made mistakes in the relationship or if we harmed them or caused them damage. But we cannot demand that. We can't demand that they see how we've changed or that they accept our change or that they are willing to revisit the relationship. We can't demand that from someone.
Yeah, and we're not telling you to reach out to ask for
No,
forgiveness
no.
either. I better jump in there because half of you
Just
are
to be clear.
pausing the video
Yeah,
right
no.
now about to call your ex.
No, just to be clear, we're not talking about reaching back out to your ex to ask for forgiveness. I'm saying if there is a repair conversation and they're bringing up the hurt and pain from the relationship or their doubts about, hey, I don't really know if you've changed or if I can really trust this.
Yeah.
We can't demand that from them. And I say this because many of you will share with me like the handwritten letters that you'll send to your ex, or even some of the conversations you have when your ex reaches out first and they're like, hey, how are you doing? And thinking about revisiting the relationship. And there can be this tone of entitlement of, well, that was then and this is now, and you should just be okay with how I've changed. I'm not going to do that to you again, and you should just know that and be willing to accept this relationship and forget all of the pain. So we can't demand somebody to just move past those things. We have to be respectful of their healing process too.
Yep. And on your end, it's going to take you time to really make these changes. You know, back in the day, they used to say it takes 21 days to break a habit. And now the research is showing differently. It's saying it's more like 256 days, which is ironic because what do I say? Put yourself on probation for 9 months, right? And what is that? That's like 270 days, right?
Yeah.
Roughly. So look at that. And so why do I say that? And what do I mean by putting yourself on probation? It means whether your ex comes back or you're in no contact, you stay working on the personal growth. You stay committed to it for 9 months. Many of you will get your ex back, and after month 2, you stop doing the work, you stop watching the videos, and then 3 or 4 months later, you wind up in another breakup because you're not really incorporating the things that we've taught you and learned, and you're able to do it in real time. That's the difference, that when you do the personal growth, you can eventually do it in real time when you're in front of somebody, when you're in that moment, when they're pulling away, when they're, about to trigger you. That is where you have to really show up. And you can't do that when you're just learning it.
Yeah. And sometimes you can surprise yourself with your own growth. So what we're saying about in that real time if you have an interaction with your ex and you're like, man, I responded to that way differently than I would have even, a couple months ago, especially a year ago, even longer ago than that. And so if you find yourself responding and reacting in new ways, even to yourself after the breakup, this can be a sign that you are growing, that you are changing. And so the point that I'm trying to make here is really trust the process. We know that it does take time to grow and change, but growth and change does happen. Margaret had this great example of a manhole. She would say, the first time you fall into the manhole, maybe the next time you are aware that the manhole is there, but you trip on it. And then maybe the next time you see the manhole, but then you're like, let me walk around it. Maybe your foot gets caught in it. And then maybe you get to the point where you're able to see the manhole, you're able to avoid it, and then it helps you on your path.
Maybe it even start driving down a different street or walking down a different street.
That too. And so the point here is basically growth takes time, but trust the process because growth does show when the moment comes.
But it's scary when you're going through it because you want to talk to them now. You want to hear from them now. It's been a week. It's been 3 weeks. I can't take it anymore. I don't know. Focus on the work every day. Do the creative healing course. Do the workbooks. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos on personal growth. And, in the Be a Master in Relationships playlist, Understanding Attachment Styles playlist, all these things can make a huge difference.
Yeah. And think about how your ex's timeline is different. So we were talking about how they might be worried that you've changed because they don't want to be duped into something where they're now seeing those bad habits show back up. They're now very disappointed. And so their timeline matters too. You may have changed a lot and your ex may still not be ready. Your ex may still not be able to move past those experiences or the things that led to the breakup, and that's okay. Ultimately, we want you to be able to move towards growth, not just pinpointed for your ex, but genuinely for yourself, and be willing to look at the other opportunities that come from that growth.
We know that it's tough because you're very anxious and you want to get in front of them right away. You want to force things. You want to tell them you've changed. You want to show them you've changed. In my experience, it's better to allow those things to happen naturally without forcing it. And when you're in no contact, as we teach it, no reaching out, you simply wait for them to reach out, and then you allow those things to be seen on their own without you telling them. It kind of comes up naturally, and then it doesn't feel like a manipulation.
Exactly.
All right. Hopefully this one's been helpful to you. If you'd like to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.